Welcome everyone to Farm Journal Live. I'm Betsy Gibbon coming to you from our studios in northern Indiana. I'm filling in for Clinton Griffiths today, and we have lots to get to. And first is an update on the ag economy. So let's get right to it. All right, the Kansas City Federal Reserve releasing its quarterly ag finance data book. It reports farm lending slowed because of the initial effects of the pandemic. COVID-19 also created a more pessimistic outlook for ag economic conditions. It says the volume of total non-real estate farm loans continued into a year-long trend of declines during the second quarter, down about 13% from last year. The report says delinquency rates on farm real estate loans increased about 17% through the first quarter, and ag credit conditions remain weak. Researchers say the Paycheck Protection Program will help supplement financial needs of some farmers, while payments from the Coronavirus Food Assistance Program may have helped offset declines in farm revenues this year. And another report out, the Rural Main Street Index. It increased to a week level of 44.1. That's well below growth neutral of 50, but it's up 6 points from June. About 38% of bakers reported a decline in customer visits due to the virus. Almost one-third of the bank CEOs surveyed indicated the virus has also reduced the number of farm loan applications. They also expect farm loan defaults to rise by 5%. Here's Ernie Goss.
We ask about the loan defaults for the next 12 months, and as bankers reported, it's an increase of about 5% from what we saw in the previous year. And that's really much stronger than I would have expected. And it's almost what when we asked the same question last year at this time, it was about 4 to 5%. So even though the farm income is down dramatically, we're seeing defaults, farm loan defaults, not much of an increase, at least according to the bank CEOs. And when we asked this question, say 3 or 4 years ago, it was likewise in this range. So even with farm commodity prices down significantly, even with farm income dragging the overall rural Main Street economy down, farm loan defaults not so much. And we're seeing, of course, the $16 billion subsidy program, or the support program for the USDA. That's helping out to some degree.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I graduated a little bit before you, but yes, both of us SDSU grads. I love it.
A little bit before me. We don't have to get into that as much.
No.
All right, that's funny. So let's talk a little bit today. I know everyone around the Corn Belt is talking about rain, chances of rain. So where you're located over in South Dakota, and I'll have you explain that, what are your chances of rain over the weekend?
I'm in northeast South Dakota. Actually, our office here is only 3 miles away from the North Dakota state line. We do have some severe risk of weather tonight in our areas, from like the Fargo, North Dakota down to the state line. And everywhere around us is expected to get some rain tonight. So really the weather forecast this week has been generally favorable for the normal crop development of corn and soybeans, but market has taken it fairly well so far and holding in there.
Have you guys started pollinating yet with corn?
Just a few tassels pushing out here. We were a little later planting, and actually on my farm we didn't get nearly as much as planted as we want. We were crazy wet this spring, so we have a lot of prevent plant again. I'm actually hoping to miss out on this rain because we're finally getting into work some of that wet ground we have.
So let's transition, talk about the cattle market a little bit. I know there was a good trade that went on Thursday. I believe some of the futures contracts, I think in live cattle, hit what, a 4-month high. Choppy trade a little bit today. What are you looking at when it comes to the cattle market now?
The cattle market, since COVID started, has kind of been, I don't know how you say, almost untradeable. It got a little bit out on its own, out in space. We ended up with 2 different cash markets. We had a regional packer bidding a lower price, and we had a larger packer, any of the larger packers bidding a higher value because they knew with the cutouts being so high, they were making good money. So they decided to pass that on to the feedlot operators. But with that, two different cash markets and the whole COVID confusion, restaurants being shut down, this market got a little bit out of whack, like I said, a little bit untradeable. But I'm bringing that up because it's finally kind of coming together now. There's only one cash market now. And I think because of that, you've seen some fund investment money start to step in this market. The fundamentals aren't necessarily bullish cattle. In fact, they're probably bearish. But the reason we made that 4-month high you mentioned is I think we had some investment money come in here. Now that the market's calmed down a little bit, I wouldn't say post-COVID by no means yet, right? It's way too early to say that, but
Right.
a new norm is set here. So I think the investment money started to come in a little bit, push the cattle market higher.
So what are you looking at, be it the cattle market or just really any market in general, on Monday as we start a new full week of training?
Well, the first thing I'll look at next week when we start trading is going to be the weather market once again. For the corn crop, believe it or not, we're starting to get close to the end of the weather market season. You mentioned tasseling. Once we get this crop tasseled and with enough subsoil moisture, it gets hard to hurt that corn crop. So sadly, I'm looking for a little bit lower prices trending forward unless China continues to step in and buy things. On the cattle market side of things, I want to see the cash market creep up higher to actually support the higher futures that we had this week that you mentioned. I'm a little bit leery about that as well. So I guess we'll look at the weather first and then follow all the other news that will pop up next week.
Is there anything I missed that you want to touch base on of what you're watching?
Not really. I think this pop in the corn market is nice. Now, granted, it's not the prices any producer wants, but it might be somewhere where they need to take advantage and hedge some of these prices or protect them at the very least. If this corn crop is going to be the size I'm thinking, which is a national yield above 180, maybe even as high as a 184, we're going to look at plenty of corn by the end of this fall. And demand is good. It's great that China's buying, but just too much supply. So I'm looking for lowered prices in the future. So that's something for the producers to think about going into the weekend.
All right, excellent. I think that's all I have. But I do have one thing. I need to lean down and get it. And I didn't want you to think that you lost me. I wanted you to keep talking. But our producer, Marge Kalba, can you see this? Brought this over. So I'm not lying. I do have the foam finger. Thanks for joining us today. Go State. Go State.
Go State.
Thanks, Dwayne. Appreciate it. All right, and before we go today, you'll want to add these events to your calendar. They're all happening in August, and you can take part in all of them virtually. First, the annual Pro Farmer Crop Tour. We are going from Ohio west to South Dakota and then holding nightly meetings. It's from August 17th through the 20th. Registration is free. But that's not all. The following week, you'll want to take part in the Farm Journal Field Days virtual event. This first of its kind event is from August 25th through the 27th, featuring 3 days that will include live demonstrations and information for farmers. This event is also free. It all wraps up on Thursday, August 27th with our big Farm On benefit concert. The free event features some of country music's biggest stars, and we'll be sharing the story of 4-H students and their animals as well. The concert takes place at 7 o'clock Central and benefits 4-H. To learn more about all of these events or to register, check out agweb.com. Okay, thank you all for joining us here on Farm Journal Live. If you want more updates, please feel free to follow us on all of our social media platforms and agweb.com. Everyone, have a good weekend.
Farm Journal and National 4-H present the first ever Farm On virtual benefit concert. Join us and some of country music's biggest stars as we raise money for 4-H and its dedication to building stronger communities. The concert will be August 27th at 7 Central, and your 4-H'er can be part of it. Just text a picture or video of them and their project with the words Farm On to 31313 or by using the Farm On hashtag via social media. Join us for the Farm On virtual benefit concert this August 27th at 7 p.m.